February of 2026 is one of the most powerful months of this year. We have so many layers to unpack here, and it started off with a bang with the full moon in Leo. Full moon is really a time of release, it is a time of shedding. And with this symbolism of shedding comes the end of the cycle of the year of the wood snake. Snake's all about releasing and shedding the skin, outgrowing the old, and stepping into the new. So we are kind of at the tail end here as we are moving towards the year of the fire horse. And if you even think about wood, right, the earth element, it's really grounded and it's like a slower type of energy. Whereas fire is a quick, it burns things up, right? So we're getting ready for some big shifts and changes, and momentum is on its way. It's already here. For me, I'm already experiencing the energy of the Aries energy coming in, the energy of spring on its way, right? Imbolc, which was on February 1st in the Gregorian calendar. When we look at true astrology this year, it's on February 3rd, coming tomorrow. But this energy of Imbolc, it's like the sprouting of the green. So now it's time to water our seeds that we have planted that are already starting to sprout. And that energy is coming and it's quickening. And Imbolc is really the symbolism of the beginning of spring. It's the first signs of spring. So it's what's happening within our own physical body at the same time is that we are starting to blossom within. Now, at the same time, we have, this, what is it that we want to water? What is it that we want to tend to within our own inner garden? And also at the same time, the dismantling of the old, the shedding of that last final layer of the skin. We came out of the 9 year of completion as we continue to shed and shed with that wood snake energy. So now it's really cleaning up the last parts, the last bit of what is, showing up in front of us. And it hasn't been always graceful, what is showing up. It hasn't always been easy. There are times where we are going to be faced with choices and with experiences where practicing our personal sovereignty, practicing our empowerment, practicing living in our hearts and being true to ourselves, and practicing being in alignment is showing up at the forefront. And this may mean that things that once were a certain way in our lives are showing up again to show us how much we have changed and how different things are in our life, and to really truly honor where we are at this point in time is not where we were before, right? And really seeing those shifts and changes and identifying them within ourselves and really stepping into that truth, which is going to ask us to really step into it even more on a level where we are ready to go with the new. And that may mean there is some heartache. That may mean that there is some confrontation. That may mean that we are required to practice our boundaries. I'll be honest, at this point in my life right now, I have been feeling over the last, I would say, year to year and a half, my need for privacy has up-leveled a lot. And that means that I don't feel like sharing everything about my process. I don't want to, let everyone peek into my world. And I think this is part of the process of this final shedding of this year of completion. I feel like there are so many layers being revealed, unfolded, felt, experienced, past things that are surfacing, that it's really a special time to have privately. It is really an opportunity and a blessing to be able to have this experience and to go through it and to really process it and give ourselves the space to process it as we're going through this final shedding. So, before I go any further, if you're new to my channel, my name is Carolyn Marie Akopich. Welcome. And, I have been on this journey for quite some time of growing and looking at my shadow and integrating my shadow. And I know that a lot of those that I work with and a lot of friends in my space, we are on this similar journey. And with February, with the intensity of the energy, I feel like it's really important now more than ever to come back into presence again and again. It is one of the most simple teachings that we can embody. Simple practices, like if we think of it as a teaching, it's something outside of the self being taught, but it is a practice of presence because we are shedding so quickly and things are happening so abruptly, both on the world stage and both individually. When we practice presence, we are able to help the situation in a way that it doesn't take over what is going on within our internal system. So there may be a lot of feelings that come up, and the more we can come back into presence, the more we eliminate the old stories and that are attached to those feelings. And so presence is going to bring us into alignment. Presence is going to allow us to see clearly what is going on, both within ourselves and both with anyone else that is involved in any situation that arises. And we're coming into this potent time, right? Full moon in Leo is the first day of February. Like, wow, powerful energy, intensity. There were X class flares, solar flares, okay? Just adding the fuel to the fire of that Leo energy, right? Of really just, right? Here we come, February. And not to mention shifting into the year of the fire horse. So, shifting into that year, and not only is that happening on February 17th, simultaneously we have an eclipse on that day, and that's the entry point into the first eclipse of the two eclipses that are happening. So this month is going to be filled with momentum. It's going to be filled with rapid transformation. And so the invitation is really to soften, slow down, and recognizing that we are still in the, I don't know why fermentation period, but that's what's coming up as a word, fermentation period of winter, right? We're at the bulk of the wheel of the year. We are at that midway point between winter solstice and spring equinox. So we're now midway through where the spring, that energy is starting to emerge within ourselves as we align with nature and the rhythms and cycles of the earth. And it's still those final weeks leading up to the spring equinox and that fullness of coming out energetically of Aries season, where we have this time to really nurture ourselves, to really, really, like I said, the seeds have been planted. These sprouts are starting to emerge, and it's about watering. What do we want to water right now? What do we want to nourish and nurture within ourselves so that we are fruitful when spring comes and that energy is prepared within us to take action, right? So it's not necessarily about full energy ahead right now taking action. We are in this February month of creativity. Leo is all about creative expression, right? So, where are you for the full moon? It's like, where are you able to release and allow yourself this expression that maybe once was held back? It's time to be in that expression. It's time to be courageous. It's time to step forward with your heart. And with that, it begins by doing it within the self, within your own being, tending to yourself, tending to your soil, right? If your soil is depleted, nothing can grow within your garden. So now is the time to tend to the soil. And with, the full moon in Leo, that creative expression, February being the frequency of two, second month of the year, if we look in the Gregorian calendar, and this is something that I want to talk about a little bit here, where the layers of numerology, the layers of astrology, you know, we can look at the beginning of the year. For me, the beginning of the year truly is at the spring equinox in March. And cyclically, Mother Earth goes through this rebirth at that time. It's the beginning of the zodiac. So when the world at large, right, according to the Gregorian calendar, starts to celebrate the new year on January 1st, there is a difference in the energetics. And I feel like all of them apply, right? Because we could look at March 21st, right? Right around that period being the starting point. And some have even said that there's been shifts where April 1st is really the new year after the spring equinox, which could be considered the first month. So that, I mean, we're not going to go into all the, back end of that. But if we look at it in this way, for the way I guess I'm sharing my perspective, right? If we look at it in the way that everyone that is in the first month of the year, January, is writing 0101 2026. The focus is on 01 in January. So energetically, we have a collective, right? A collective thought form with everyone that knows and writes down that January is the first month, that one is the frequency of January, that three is the frequency of March. Now we're in this two frequency of February. So with this two frequency, it really is about the womb space. It's the second chakra. The second chakra also embodies the relationships that we have. It governs our relationships. So we may be experiencing shifts and changes within our relationships. The first relationship is with our own consciousness. Our first relationship with the self, the physical body. So looking at all the aspects of the self that we can tend to. And at the same time, we may be experiencing external relationships shifting and changing. It is the creative space. The second chakra is the sacral, the womb, the reproductive, all of these areas where we can give birth. And when we look at it as within, so without, it is the cosmic womb of all creation, the quantum field. In the cosmic womb, in the quantum field, there is infinite potential to create. So we're in a very potent month of infinite potential. And where we focus our attention, we know that where our energy goes, or where our attention goes, energy flows, right? So where we focus our attention will expand and will grow. So again, it's all about watering, and watering especially, right? It's the second chakra, it's the emotions, it's the water element, watering our garden, watering our seeds, watering the sprouts as we are growing, as we are growing, as we are shedding. We can be expansive and then go into stages of contraction before the next expansion. So as you think of a snake shedding the skin, and maybe you've seen a snake shedding its skin before in real time, where it's like it's moving, and the skin it's like literally moving out of its skin, and it just keeps going and going, and right, so it's like there is this type of constriction that happens at parts of the snake, like on parts of its body, as it's moving out of its own shell, of its own skin. And that is happening to us too. So on some level, we might feel like we're being squeezed at times, and things are happening very intensely. And that's okay. It's all about coming back to the watering of our seeds, the watering of, our highest potential, of where we are birthing ourselves, where we are going, what we are doing, what we want to offer to the world. And that simply means how we want to show up in the world, right? And what we represent by our own embodiment of who we are. So, 2 is, the connecting point. 1 is the seed, 2 is the process of it starting to grow, right? So, seed, flow, and then 3 is the creation. So there's really no mistake there, because when we get into March, this is the creation, spring equinox, everything blossoming, starting to come to life, the energy flowing, Aries season. Aries is all about the I am energy, aligning with presence and moving forward in alignment with right action. So 2 is this frequency that we are feeling right now. And when we look at it in the Kundalini tradition, 2 also represents the negative mind. Number 1 is the soul body. The soul body is all about choosing the heart over the head, bringing your head with you. Yes, we need logic. Yes, we need structure, but allowing the heart to lead and not allowing the head to take over and control everything, right? So it really is about coming into that deeper presence within and aligning with the heart center in the 1 energy as we plant the seeds. That's why January is such an internal energy, right? It's a very internalized, winterized energy of going within. And then the 2 is like you're in the in between, where it's a little bit of being in and coming out, being in and coming out. And it's like allowing yourself that space. So the negative mind, it's not that it's negative, it can be, but the negative mind, just think of it being, polarized, right? So positive and negative, the plug and the socket, the seed and the soil. So that negative space is space for us to plant seeds into. And what seeds do we want to plant into that negative space? So with this being a frequency of the negative mind, there is a potential of swaying into the negative, of having self-doubt, of feeling insecure. There are these tendencies, or into going into a complaining frequency. And this is really the opportunity to reframe it and redirect our attention and our energy to the fact that the 2, the negative space, the negative mind, the quantum field, the cosmic womb of creation, is this quiet, potent space of fertility. And so we are birthing something now in this negative space, and it is up to us to fill the negative space with our thoughts, with our words, with our actions that are in the highest alignment of truth and love. And so I'm really, speaking into this to even hear it myself for what it is that I want to create this spring, right? And my focus this month is really going internal on a deeper level of self-care, of regulation of my nervous system. This is something that has been coming up ever since, I would say, well, it's not ever since, it's been a long time, but let's just say it's been at the forefront at the beginning of 2026. It's like that was what showed up for me. It's nervous system regulation, even more than I've ever focused on it. And to also take care of my body, my physical body, upping everything, all of it, just really tending to that nurturance. So where we direct our energy now is so important. And knowing that today, for instance, I haven't even touched on this. We're in the 2-2 portal, and in magic, in the Hermetic magic principles, 2-2 is a very potent time of creation. It does represent that seed starting to sprout. So, specifically today, our thoughts and the rituals that we do, what we are bringing into the world today is very amplified and just coming out of this full moon, which isn't, we're not really out of it yet, right? The full moon continues this energy. And so we're still in that kind of vortex of energy. It's extra potent right now for creativity. Leo is supporting that creative energy. So today, what is it that you want to create? During the month of February, what is it that you want to create within yourself? What are the conditions you want to create within yourself? So, we are going to keep feeling this momentum and just know that taking the next aligned action step is all that is required. And sometimes that step is pausing. Sometimes it's not really taking action, it's stillness, right? So, like I said, we're in this 2 month where a little bit is coming out and a little bit is coming back and staying in. So, you might be feeling a little bit of this. Like, I know for me, I'm feeling a lot of momentum. I'm feeling a lot of action. I'm feeling like I want to share. I want to come out. I want, like, all of this. But at the same time, there is this inner knowing, there's this depth within me that is still telling me to stay internalized right now. And I know it's because of the deeper work of aligning with the rhythms and cycles of the earth and really honoring that space right now. So I feel like I'm going to wrap this up here. And I will come back to talk more about the eclipses because I feel like this combined with the year of the horse coming at the same time, there is some very big symbolism around this as well. So I thank you for being here and joining me on this journey. Please subscribe to my channel if it is resonant with you, and I look forward to see you on the next video.